Hey guys, how's it going? Hobo Yeti here. Just getting over a bad head cold, incessant coughing. Thanks for all your words of encouragement and all that good stuff. Really appreciate it. Being sick and being homeless just sucks, especially, something that kind of just lays you out and you're not good for anything. And I haven't done anything for the last 3 days. I did go to Walmart to get food and stuff, but for the most part, I'm just in my tent, cocooned in. I got my setup. I've got my blankets, my mattress pads, the sleeping bags wrapped around my tent. A friend sent me I don't know if I can show this. It's like a little, what do you call it? Thermometer that you can, view online, and it tells you the temperature and the humidity. And I was able to actually gauge it. Normally when you put like a tarp on your tent, it keeps you about 10 degrees cooler than the outside temperature. But with my sleeping bags wrapped around the tent like I have it, it's about 20 to 25 degree difference from the outside temperature from the inside, because all that, all that hot air that I'm blowing out is staying inside the tent. I'm not having really any issues with condensation because there's a mesh up here and then the sleeping bag, so any of that moisture will go up there. Around the bottom where the sleeping bags don't really touch the ground and there's still a little gap, there will be some condensation down there, but really not enough to be worried about, so it's been keeping me warm. Anyway, but it's got me thinking about, being suddenly homeless. I did a video last year about being suddenly homeless, like what can you expect, what to do. This video is about suddenly homeless, survival in the winter, because it's a different ball field. It's different altogether, being homeless in the winter, and not just being homeless, but being suddenly homeless. Like something happens, anything could happen, and you're trying to survive outside or being homeless, and that's a hard thing. It's no joke. Being in the cold, the cold just. I told you guys that a good couple years ago, like 5 or 6 years ago, I was homeless, and I had like a very thin sleeping bag, like a warm weather sleeping bag, and like a blue camping pad mattress, not a mattress, but like a sleeping pad, and it dropped like 40 degrees overnight, and it was freaking cold, and I spent the whole night like doing sit-ups and eating candy and jogging in place, that sort of thing, just to stay warm. It's exhausting. You never really get enough sleep because you're so cold, and like that camping pad, it wasn't even working. I could feel the cold through it from the ground. And so what I want to talk to you today about is how to get by, how to, first of all, I'm going to talk about not having any money, and then we'll talk a little bit about what you can do if you have a little bit of cash, and how you can, stay warm and stay sane, right? So the first thing I would suggest is, if you're homeless and you don't have, you don't have anything, you don't have any cash, or you got very, very little, I would suggest going to a homeless shelter. Go on to Google Maps, type in homeless shelter, find one in your area if there is, and call them up and stay at a homeless shelter. Honestly, hands down, that's the way to go. You guys know me. I'm not a big fan of shelters. I'm not a big fan of homeless shelters in the least. I've had some very bad experiences there, but as compared to living outside in the cold, if you're not prepared, like seriously, it's no joke. It's my threshold is about 41 degrees. Once it gets down to 41 or low 40s, like I have to have a full camping setup for warmth, right? I have hyperthermia, and that means if I get if I get hot, if I get overheated, I can't cool down. But also, if I get underheated, if I get cold, I can't warm up. And so it's part of the anemia that I have, and yada yada. But let's say you don't have a shelter. Let's say there's not a shelter around. What are you going to do? I would suggest looking for, first of all, you're going to have to kind of build your own little shelter, right? What you can do is you can go to a furniture store, an appliance store, a mattress store, or a carpet store. A carpet store is probably going to be the best, right? And the reason for that is they've got, a lot of times you can go out into the garbage and find, first of all, you're going to find very large cardboard boxes, right? And it's not like the thin ones. It's like thick cardboard boxes that you can make a shelter out of. And what you're going to want to do there is they have very thick cardboard boxes. Usually you can get some of that pretty easily. The only thing I guess you would really need is duct tape, but you don't need that. You could find a way to join together the cardboard. But basically, what you're looking for is, to build yourself a little cocoon of sorts, right? So basically, let's start out with the cardboard first. You're going to have a base layer, right? You can use the packing foam that they have. Usually it's at, I guess just packing foam. Also, if they have like styrofoam in large flat sheets, you can put that on top of it. Like I would make a, I had a friend that did this, and basically on the bottom you're putting plastic, right? They usually have these large swaths of plastic that everything comes in, so you shouldn't have any problem finding plastic. And then on top of that is cardboard, and then maybe some of that sheet that lightweight sheet looking foam stuff. Put that down. But really, what you're going for is that carpet foam or carpet padding that you're going to grab. A lot of times you'll find like little pieces of it, but load up on that stuff because that holds heat fairly well, and it's going to keep the ground from sucking up your warmth. Anyway, basically you create a sandwich of different layers of plastic to keep the wet from getting to your setup. I guess sheet foamy stuff, and then maybe another cardboard and mattress foam, maybe a carpet, even if you can find something like that, a large piece of carpet or something. Anyway, what you're going to do is that's going to be the bottom layer, and you want to do like 2-3 feet wide, maybe 2.5 feet wide, probably 7 feet long, maybe a little bit bigger. And then if you can just kind of make that into a solid 8 inches or so, that's going to keep the ground from stealing your warmth. So it's not going to make you any warmer, but it's going to keep the warmth that you do have escaping into the ground. And then what my buddy said he did was create sort of a upside down, like an old tent, pitch tent, sort of a V on top, and then on top of that, putting more plastic to keep it waterproofed, and then basically that'll allow you to go inside. Like a tarp. I've already said it. Tarp is any kind of plastic is going to keep the inside temperature about 10 degrees warmer than it is outside. And if you don't have anything and this is all you have, you're just gonna have to make do. But that's a good little shelter that you can make. And you might not have a whole lot of options as to where you're placing that. Like finding a stealth camp may not be an option, because in winter time, there's not a whole lot of leaves out. So putting a stealth camp out of a cardboard box, I guess you can always throw some twigs and crap on top of it or whatever, but you may not have that option. Sometimes it's about getting through the night and then making the next day more worthy. But as soon as you can, find a food pantry online. Go to, I don't know, Google Maps again. Like if you go to like the DHS, the Human Services, they'll give you like a packet, like a resource packet. It has all the shelters, it has all the food pantries in the area and stuff. Sometimes those are good. A lot of times they're out of date, but you can get one of those, and what you're going to be looking for is clothing, right? Any kind of clothing that you can get, any kind of blankets, maybe if they've got a tarp, you can supplement for, what you have. That'll, add to the warmth inside your little bungalow there. Maybe they'll have a tent. You can get a tent, but basically, or a sleeping bag. Maybe they've got blankets. Some, like one year, I went to, I guess, what was it, last year? And I had a crappy thing for underneath me, a pad. I ended up getting like bathroom carpet, like, those little bathroom mats that have like rubber underneath. I got a couple of those, and threw, like a toilet one, I threw that down underneath my pad, and I had some other clothes that I got that I just laid down underneath me to keep me warm. And you do what you got to do. If you can get a lot of clothes, wear a lot of clothes to sleep. Do sit-ups, piss in a bottle, and then keep that to keep you warm. There are options for staying warm, but usually, if your goal is to get to a point where you're warm enough that you're not having to struggle each minute of the evening trying to stay warm, because it's miserable. But let's see. Okay, so like I said, you can build like a little. Some people don't even prefer like tents or shelters. They just want like a tarp or something. But I have found personally that any kind of solid barrier, like even cardboard or plastic or something, is really going to. And if you're inside, let's say you do some sit-ups inside your tent or whatever, your little shelter made of cardboard, your cardboard box, that's going to keep you warm. And so even that, and it'll keep the wind off you. That's something. But you can easily make, from like a furniture, appliance, mattress store, a carpet store, you can find enough goodies there in their garbage most of the time to build a little shelter, to make an 8-inch mat of plastic, foam, cardboard that you can put under you, that's going to keep you off the ground. And then in a little area, you can wrap yourself in a contractor bag, or wrap yourself in a sheet of plastic. Why? Because that's good. Have you ever tried wearing a poncho? You wear a poncho, a raincoat, and after like 5 minutes of walking, like you're covered in sweat because all the condensation is staying inside, and you're just freaking soaking wet and hot. That same thing's going to happen overnight. And so, it is going to get wet, and it is going to be kind of miserable, but at the same time, it's going to keep you alive, and it's going to keep you warm, and you can deal with the condensation issues another time. And over time, you can start building up, going to these pantries, going to different ones, and picking up additional clothing. Like I've got a pillow now inside my tent with I got like a pink and orange terry cloth sort of pillowcase, and at first I didn't have a pillow for that. I just put in like clothing and stuff, and that would be my pillow. But basically load up on clothing. Sometimes you can, and this is something to look into, like if there's a Walmart nearby, try looking in the woods, like in the woods around Walmart. Sometimes there'll be like an old camp, like an old homeless camp that they left behind all their crap, and sometimes you'll find a tent, and the clothing might not be clean or dry or whatever, but a lot of times you'll find something that a tent or something that's all messed up, but can be repurposed and used for what you need it for. But the goal is to create a barrier between you and the weather, and to weatherproof it, and to give you, stay alive, basically. So that's if you ain't got nothing. You're like bare bones, and it's still probably not going to be comfortable, but it can be. If you have even the basics, like if you had like a winter coat, that would help you out during that. But still, you still want to build up a little shelter. If you have any cash, like when I moved here, when I came here from Tennessee, I had $150, and I bought a one-man tent. I bought a camping pad, a 10-degree bag or 20-degree bag, and a tarp. That's all I had. It was like September, so it's still warm. But I guess the only thing I would add to that, if you could get like a memory foam mattress topper, I would even get that. In lieu of getting a sleeping bag, because you can you fold it over, a queen size, you fold it over and sleep underneath it. That'll keep you super warm. But basically you're looking for a tent that's going to kind of keep the warmth in. It's going to keep the bugs out or animals or whatever. And then the tarp, that's going to keep the rain off. The tent should be a bucket bottom, especially up here in the Pacific Northwest, because it rains a lot, and if you set your tent up in the wrong spot, you don't want to have to wake up like I did in, North Carolina, where flash flooding and crap, and just the bottom of your tent is soaking wet, and you're like, it was like a water bed. It was going back and forth, and so you don't want to do that. If you get wet in the cold like this, you're dead. I mean, maybe not dead, but like, you can never get dry again, is the thing. Like in the summertime, I'll do Hobo bath, and I'll let my clothes dry out outside, but it's too humid here in the Pacific Northwest. Nothing dries. I mean, you can, like, what I have done is I'll wring it out as much as I can and wear it. Like, I'll put on some new boxer briefs, or the same boxer briefs that are clean but they're damp, and I'll wear those, and my body heat will dry it out. But it doesn't always work, and you're wearing damp clothes, and that's unpleasant and whatever. But I guess my thing is I guess that's it though. I do have a video on how to stay warm, which is nothing beats having good gear. Honestly, I've got in my tent right now, I've got a 10-degree bag, which is this guy, and it's fairly thick and fairly heavy. Underneath it, I have a 20-degree bag, and it's got a foot box, which is important to me. And then I've got, I guess, memory foam underneath, times 2. Memory foam, I'm a big fan of memory foam. But honestly, anything that's going to keep you off the ground, like if I didn't have that, I would, if I was in a place where I just didn't have anything, just sitting up all night and, sitting in one spot or trying to exercise in place is not a solution for me. I need a place to sleep, and I need something that's going to keep me off the ground. Anyway, hope that helps you. The other thing I'd like to add is, long term, getting waterproof shoes. That's important. During this time of year, it starts raining a great deal, and there's a lot of mud, and getting your feet wet, getting any part of you wet is terrible, but getting your feet wet is bad as well. So staying dry and staying warm they kind of go hand in hand. I hope your road's a good one, and if you're homeless, I hope it doesn't suck for you. Peace.